Okay, so our last topic that we're going to do is on circles. And so we're going to do a little vocabulary first. We know we've talked about radius before. We know that's from the center to the edge of the circle. We're going to draw it in there. So here's our center right here. And we draw a little line to the edge of the circle, and that's our radius. We've been using that for a while. Something we haven't talked about as much, but I'm sure you did in middle school, was diameter. And we know diameter goes all the way through the center of the circle. And it goes from edge to edge, but it does go through the center. So I'm going to try and draw it as straight as I possibly can. Oh, I can use the straight line tool. What am I doing? Here we go. So straight through the center. Boom. The end points are on the edges. So it's kind of like the radius, but it goes to the other side also. We're not going to use diameter a lot, so don't worry about it so much. A word that's probably brand new to you is chord. So a chord is a line that does not go through the center of the circle, but it's still the endpoints are on the edge of the circle. So let me get my little straight line again. So it's a line. It does not go through the center, but it's still on the edge of the circle. So from edge to edge does not go through the center. Okay. So that's a chord. This is a chord. You could draw like 1,000 chords. It doesn't matter. They can cross each other. Great. All of these are chords because the endpoints are on the edge. Doesn't go through the center. Okay. And the last thing we need to know is an arc. You probably haven't talked about this very much either, but the arc is part of the outside edge of the circle. So we're going to draw a couple different arcs. So right here, this is what I'm talking about. That little curvy line right there, that is an arc. Okay. And we're going to put a couple dots on this picture. So we're going to put A, B, C. So there's, in this drawing, there's a couple different arcs. We can name an arc with 2 letters or 3 letters. This arc right here, since it goes directly from B to C and there's no other points in the middle, then that's arc BC right there. If we go around the other way, so if I want to talk about the arc going this way, the big one right there, since there's 3 points on this arc, if I want to specify that I'm talking about this side, I got to name this point. And you go in the order. So this arc around this way would be arc B, A, C, because it goes from B, then it hits A, and then it hits C. You could also go the other way. You could go CAB. Also works. You just need to make sure you're naming the letters that are actually on that part of the circle. Like this one on the inside, I wouldn't say BAC because A is not between B and C. So yeah, that's pretty much it about arcs. Okay. So now we're going to talk about the different angles that are in a circle. So a central angle is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's an angle in the center of the circle. So we know here's our center. We know these 2 things are little radiuses. And the angle we're talking about is this angle right there. Okay. Now we know that this angle opens up to this arc right here, arc AC. Let's write that down, arc AC. Okay. The relationship between this angle and this arc is that they are equal to each other. Equal like in degrees. Okay, so if you know it's a central angle, then you know the arc equals the angle. What am I spelling? Angle. They're equal to each other. So if this is 50 degrees, then I know the arc out here is also 50 degrees. So let's do some examples. It says, what is the measure of arc AB? Well, first of all, I know arc AB is this arc right here. Okay, I know, I see that there's a dot in the center, there's an angle in there. I know this is a central angle because it's in the center. It's like on the dot. So the relationship is the arc equals the angle. Oh, so if they're equal, and this is 82, how much is arc AB? AB is going to equal 82. Easy. They're equal to each other. It does get a little more complicated when it's not just numbers. This one wants to know, what is the measure of arc GC? So I see GC is out here. Great. I see that there's an angle on the inside. What kind of angle is this? It's a central angle because it's in the center of the circle. So I know that means the arc and the angle are equal. So I'm just going to set these equal to each other. This is the arc. I put it over here. 12x minus 4. This was the arc. Maybe we label. Okay. The angle, it says, was 10x plus 32. Set them equal, we solve. Oh, I gotta move the 10x to the other side. Okay, that gives me 2x. Drop down our negative 4. Crosses out, drops down 32. Plus 4 goes away. 2x drops down, that's 36. Divided by 2, and we get x equals 18. But wait, it said, what is the measure of the arc? So I need to plug my x back in. So I'm going to plug 18 in. Where am I plugging it in? To the arc. This guy right here. So 12 times 18 minus 4. And we would type in Desmos. Okay. Here we go. 12 times 18 minus 4 is 212. Great. Over here. Degrees. Final answer. Okay. I know it's a central angle. It opens to this. That means they're equal. Solve for x. I have to read. Did it say solve for x? Or did it say you got to plug it back in? This said plug it back in. So I plug it back in. Okay. A different kind of angle is inscribed angle. So this is an angle on the edge of the circle. So this angle isn't in the center, it's on the edge of the circle. So in this one, I see the center would be somewhere here. The angle's actually over here this time. And the arc that it opens to is up here. So I'm going to label that arc. So the relationship between these this time is that the arc equals 2 times the angle. So we have a little equation where we would say the arc equals 2 times, we know parentheses means times, the angle. So let's do some examples. It says, what is the measure of arc AB? So that's out here. We don't have a number on that, so I'm going to put an X. Great. And that out there is the arc. Where is the angle? Well, the angle's over here. Okay, is it in the center or is it on the edge? It's on the edge because it's on the round part of the circle. So I know this is inscribed. And I know that means our rule is the arc equals 2 times the angle. Okay, so my arc I said was x equals 2 is just here. My angle was 34. So 2 times 34. I don't know what it is. Let's type it in. 2 times 34 is 68 degrees. And that's the answer. That was arc AB. I said was x, and I solved for x, and that's it. Okay. Let's look at the next one. The next one's harder because it's all x's. So this one wants to know, what is the measure of arc NK? N to K is out here. That's this. It's the arc. Where's my angle? It's over here. What kind of angle is this? Well, it's on the edge of the circle, so that's got to be inscribed. So I'm going to write my little equation over here. So for inscribed, it was arc equals 2 times the angle. So let's plug in what I got. My arc, 7x minus 12. The 2 is just here. Angle is x plus 14. Solving. So we got 2. We know we need to multiply. Distribute the 2 to both of these things. Multiply. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 14 is 28. This side stays the same. Now we gotta move our x's. Moving our x's. Drop down your numbers. 7 minus 2 is 5x plus 12. To the other side, I gotta do the opposite. 28 plus 12 is 40. Drop down our 5x divided by 5. We get x equals 40 divided by 5 is 8. Did it say solve for x, or did it say plug it back in? Well, this one said gotta plug it in. So I gotta plug it into nk, which is out here. So I'm gonna plug it in 7 times 8 minus 12. We type that in Desmos. 7 times 8 minus 12 is 44. So final answer is NK, the arc, equals this degrees. Yay. Okay? You just gotta make sure you know which of these things is the arc, which of them is the angle. Put them in the right spot. Okay? Last thing we really need to know is that a complete circle has how many degrees in it? Well, it should be adding up to 360. We know a complete circle is 360 degrees. So that means you should be writing an equation that says something plus something equals 360. So let's look at number 5. Number 5 wants to know, what is the measure of arc GH? Well, which way is GH? Is it around the back, or is it around on the right side? Well, I know it's on this side because this way had an I and there was no I up there. So it's got to be this way. We're going to say that's X because we don't know what it is. Now I see the other information they told me was that this side of the circle was 226. So if they're supposed to add up to 360, let's write that equation. Because these two parts make up the entire circle, which would be 360. So we have 226 plus X equals 360. We know to solve this, we're just subtracting. And we're going to get X. I don't know what this is, so let's type it in. 360 minus 226 is 134. So that means, what? 34. Okay, so that means this arc right here is 134, and that's what they asked for. So I'm good. Okay? Ones with X's get a little messier. Now this one did just say solve for X, which we like that. So I see I have this arc on this side. I have this arc on the other side. It makes up the entire circle, which means it should be adding up to 360. So I'm going to take my two things, something plus something equals 360. Let's put those things in there. So 11x plus 6 and 29x plus 34. We solve for x. Now we know to solve this equation, we got to add our x's first. 29 plus 11 is 40. X 6 plus 34 is 40. You could type that in decimals if you needed to. Next step, we got to move 40 to the other side. 40x is here. 360 minus 40, you could type that in. You would get 320 divided by 40. Should be x equals 8. And it did just say solve for x. So I'm good. Okay. Okay, so you guys are gonna go do some vocabulary practice first. Make sure you come back and watch the solving equations part tomorrow, because that's when you're gonna solve equations. But otherwise, you can start on the vocabulary assignments.